Hey, what's up, guys? So this is going to be what I'm going to be looking for a little bit later. I'm not entirely sure if I will be trading tonight. So the market opens at I believe 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be like the Asian pre-market. I might come and look at that because I'm starting to like trading. Like later because the market is not as volatile then, and I'm at my house and I get to just kick back and relax. Um, but what I'm going to be looking for um, is this. So, seeing obviously a topping up here at just under my 4 hour zone. It made a new hourly zone up there, so you got two clear ceilings up here. It made another ceiling here, which it's tested one time already. But if you look at the pattern that I'm seeing, at least you got your high, you got a lower, well, a higher low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and then all of a sudden this is where it starts changing, right? Started getting higher low, higher low. Had a fake breakdown a level, and then it just kind of took off. And this is a really big miss for me on Friday. I really fucked this up. But it also had this level, which I don't want to say it blew through, but I mean it pretty much blew straight through. So, but now it's acting as support down here. So what am I looking for? This thing closed literally in the middle of no man's land. So I got two things I wanted to have happen. Either this opens higher up into here. I want to start looking for some rejecting, and I'll take a short up here. The thing that you also have to keep in mind is, this is a 20-point range. So if you say you get in with one micro contract, that's $100 risk, right? So you have to size in accordingly. Because I mean, even these little tiny ass things that don't look like they're doing much at all, like that's like a 10-point range, and but like you start dropping down into lower time frames. I see, for me at least, I see like a cup pattern. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not very good at using volume profile. I'm definitely not an expert at it. But if you look at the zones, all the volume is really concentrated within the lows, right? The point of control is down here at the 20s essentially, which is 70 points below. Like this thing could reject up here and come back down and test around this area. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. But like I said, I'm looking for one of two things to happen. I either want this to open low and like just barely dip into this, and I'd buy. I'm gonna be looking to sell into here. Especially if I do trade like in, like around 6 p.m. I'm not gonna be looking for a huge move. I'm literally looking for 20 points, and I'm done. 10 to 20 points. So yeah, it really depends on how long it takes to make the move, but I'd look for either a dip into this for a buy or a pop into this to sell. And like I said, I'm only looking for like ideally a 20-point move. But if you start looking at this, 20s, 20-point move. Like it really is not a crazy amount. And like you start seeing, I mean, this one alone went from 40s to 15, so that's was 75-point move in 15 minutes. So what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be taking the trade on a 5 minute. So, but even in the 5 minute, this one for 44s up to 80s in 5 minutes. So I mean, 40-point move. Okay, you might be done the trade in 5 minutes. If it started moving like that, yeah, of course I'm going to be looking for 20-point move and just get in, get out, and go on about my day. But this is ideally what I'm going to be looking for. I said it rejected up here one time. So I would really, if it did pop into the zone, I'm looking for it to get closer to 54.20s. I'm going to risk over, the high, well, really like 54.40s. But like I said, I'm going to be scaling into this. I'm going to go in, depending on how far my risk zone is, I might go in with one contract, might go in with two contracts. But I can go into a maximum of 5. But I will be looking for pop into this to sell down into here, or dip into this and then sell into the pop up here. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for later today. So if you guys are going to be trading, that's what I'd be looking for. If you start looking at some of these patterns that happen in here, like really this is what you're going to be looking for, is these big long wicks, right? This thing comes down, does a fake breakdown of this, gets sucked back up, this thing opens like that is your long right there. I mean, you're literally getting along at 17s, risking 15s. So I mean, that's a great way to take a trade. Another thing to look at is, from those guys that follow me in small caps, the same fucking thing, dude. Like, it's 78, 61 fib level. There you go. Like, take long, risking off of here. Like I said, sizing accordingly. There's another shot at it. Okay, well then this thing goes up. This thing moves up to here. Okay, doesn't give you an entry, moves up to here. Well, look at that shit. Huh. You got yourself another second chance to take the trade. Awesome. Goes back up, but the problem is it makes a lower high, a lower high. Now this thing's coming down and dipping into the 7-8 fib level. Like, but these are the kinds of things you start looking at. It's like, what do the patterns look like? This is on a 5-minute chart, right? You start getting FOMO where you're like, oh my god, I have to get in, or I'll miss the move. And it's like, no, you won't. It's 1 or 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. 20 minutes is just chilling out there. And over here, like 5, 10, 15 minutes. 5, 10, 15 minutes. 5, 10, a little bit of chase, 15 minutes. Like, I mean, okay, you have time. Don't let this thing just rip down into your zone and then just go into fucking panic mode and try to force a trade. But that's how I do this. Is I go off the low. Once this thing found this low and it ripped through here, I'm obviously moving this up. And then same thing for this. It goes up to the new high. And then I swing it over. Look at that. Once again, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 more opportunities to get long. Like, that's the thing. Is like, and I'm not just speaking to you guys. I'm also speaking to myself. Like, this is the kind of stuff that, like, I need to focus on, because I really screwed up this last week. I was trying to size in. I was trying to force things. I was trading the P&L, and I wasn't trading my system, and that's why I got my ass kicked. And For some of you guys, you guys are, relatively new to trading. I've been trading for 7 years, and it still happens to me. So that reminds me of a conversation I had with, one of you guys this last week. You guys need to be kind to yourselves. This is a very, very difficult game that you are playing, and don't get me wrong, this is absolutely a game that you're playing. And I don't know, you just need to be very mindful and, understand yourself really well. As of right now, like this came down, but then, like I said, it broke this structure, right? So now that it broke this structure, I move this up to here, and I move this up to there, and I move it across. Kind of crazy though, look at that, because the point of control is literally at the 6 to 1 fib level. Like for me, that'd be a really good point to take along. Is like right in there. You start seeing a reacting. Like if it came down, and it's around this 53.13. Like you start having multiple things line up, right? Like okay, it's it's making a higher low off of a bouncing from 4 hour zone. It's making a 6-1 fib level, and it's at the same level as the high profile or the volume profile point of control. Like, okay, well, for me, you start seeing it react the right way. Like, yeah, dude, get in. Because the other thing is, this is, let's just round this up. Say it's at 20. Before it even gets to this level, it's literally anywhere between 40 and like 60 points above your entry. You get in with one contract. Like I said, for every 20, it's $100. So you get in with one contract, and you let this thing go up 40 points. That's $200 on one micro contract. You start letting it go, even higher. We're talking $300 on one micro. You start sizing into these things correctly, you can really start to make significant gains really, really quickly. And but you have to go back, you have to do this kind of stuff. And like this is another one of my problems is, I start getting overconfident, I start getting cocky, and I stop doing this kind of stuff, and then I get my ass kicked, and then, well, here I am again doing this, like, oh, well, I should probably keep doing this, It's like the same thing when I used to be, for those of you that don't know, I used to be a pretty high-level kickboxer. I'd go and get my ass kicked in a fight where, I thought that this guy should never be able to hang with me, and I'd lose to the guy. And like after reflecting, it's like, well, why did I lose? Well, because you're not fucking running every day. You're not, you're not eating correctly. You're out partying your ass off when like you should be at home resting and like doing the smart things that you should be doing. I would stop doing it because I'd start thinking that I was like the shit, and I'd stop doing it, and then I get humbled, and then it would put this fire under me and make me start. And it's the same damn thing in trading, like literally. And the reason it's the same damn thing is because it's me. That's just my personality, and it's something that I'm going to deal with for the rest of my life. And you just need to figure out like what are your what are your pros, what are your cons, like how can you work with yourself in a way to I don't know, make this actually achievable. And one of the things you need to make sure that you do is don't talk shit about yourself. Don't kick yourself down, because you're not stupid, you're not a moron. Like, yeah, you let your emotions get the best of you, but you're not all these horrible names. Like, and like one thing that I started to really notice was I'm way nicer to the guys I'm working with than I am to myself. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, man, what would I do if one of these guys sent me these charts? What would I say to them? And like that's a really good way for you to work through being more kind to yourself. What would you say to your best friend or the person that you love the most? Your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your son, daughter, whatever. What would you say to them? Like how would you talk to them? And that's really how you should teach yourself to talk to yourself, because the person that you need to believe in yourself more than anybody else does. we also need to be more kind to yourself too, because the markets are going to kick your ass and it's going to turn you upside down and just kick the shit out of you. But if you can learn how to be mentally strong, it's gonna better you over the long run. So that this is what I'm looking at. But like I said, it really really sucked this last week. I mean, everyone has to deal with greed, but I mean, good God, man, like what a fucking miss. I mean, like obviously this is back at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not gonna be trading that, but like look at this. You literally draw a fib in from this level to that level. What a fucking miss. And yes, I would be. I can trade it like seven. Like, but even over here, like you start getting in. I don't know, a little bit late, like at 8, whatever. Like, or another thing is like, okay, maybe you don't even get in this best thing. Like, but look at how this works. This goes up to the next high because it broke this structure, right? Well, then this goes up to this low. I mean, that's 10.55. Like, you could take in a fucking long off of here, and that's at 49.80s. I mean, I'm not going to do the freaking math because I just woke up, I haven't had enough coffee, but I mean, that's thousands of dollars on just one contract. On one micro contract. That is so much fucking money. It is unbelievable. You know. But anyways, I don't want to get into that because then I start getting greedy and start doing stupid shit. So I need to not focus on the money. I need to focus on the system, and this is my system. Okay, this thing goes down to like 53s, 12s. That'll be a really good point. I don't think it's going to go down there right away. I think the first play is going to be either in the 53 60s area or the 54 20s. And I'm going to react the way that trade off of price action. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this thing to go up into here. I'm looking for a rejection. I'm looking for a bounce. Okay, that is the fucking plays. This thing goes up. I don't see a pattern of a rejection. Like, okay, well, if it starts consolidating for a long period, I'm probably not going to be trading at 6 o'clock tonight if it has a long consolidation period. But I'd look for a T2. I'd be looking for this thing to continue on up to the highs. This thing drops down, does the same thing. I'm looking for this thing to bounce and go up. If it comes down and consolidates, I'm looking for a T2. I'm looking for a continuation. Or this thing just rips through, comes back down, bounces off, T3. Like, okay, it freaking went up, bounced down, right? Like I said, I'm still figuring out like how to name my system. It's still relatively new. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling. It's gonna be. I don't know. I kind of feel like a T2 would either be consolidation or a rip through and bounce down. And yeah, I feel like a T3 is like a like a old fashioned like over under. You get in somewhere in here, risking just over that. Same thing for this. If it goes down, consolidates and continues, T2, or it rips through, bounces, rejects, that's also a variation of T2, or it goes under, over, long. And I don't know, that's kind of what I'm working with things. You guys are getting a little bit more inside stuff because it's at the very beginning. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys are doing this kind of stuff, going back and reviewing, and there's a million opportunities. But if you don't do this kind of stuff, you're not going to be able to capitalize on it. So that's exactly what I'm doing, and I really plan on capitalizing on these trades this week. So have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you later.